Good evening and welcome to your favorite news program. Tonight, we bring you a show packed with crucial national news, from the judicial reform that has sparked protests, to the violence in Sinaloa that has concerned dozens of citizens, and finally, the exciting Grito de Independencia that reminds us of Mexico's strength and spirit. Join us throughout the program. The reform of the judiciary, one of the most controversial measures presented by President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, has sparked heated debates and protests in recent weeks. This reform, proposed on February 15, aims to profoundly change how judges, magistrates, and ministers are elected in the country.
One of the most debated points is the proposal to have judges and ministers elected by popular vote, an unprecedented move in Mexico history. Supporters argue that it's a step towards democratization of justice. However, opponents believe it could jeopardize the judiciary's independence, with some warning it could make judges more susceptible to political pressure.
Debates in Congress were intense, and after a marathon session lasting more than 15 hours on September 4, the bill was approved with 357 votes in favor and 113 against. Among the most controversial points was eliminating the president's power to propose nominees for the Supreme Court.
Se emitieron 359 votos en pro, 0 abstenciones y 135 votos en contra. Es mayoría calificada.
In response to the approval in Congress, protests against the reform intensified, with demonstrations organized in Mexico City and several other states. Many protesters insist that the reform threatens the principles of an independent justice system.
On September 10, the discussion continued in the Senate, where tension ran high once again. The session had to be moved to the Casona de Xicotencatlan after a group of protesters forced entering the Senate, demanding the votes to be suspended. They caused property damage, invaded federal property, committed theft, made threats, and physically assaulted civilian protection personnel, resulting in damage totaling 2 million pesos. Let's take a look.
Despite the protest, the Senate approved the reform in the early court on September 12th, with 86 votes in favor and 41 against. The majority of support comes from the Morena Party, contributing 85 votes in favor. One member of the opposition, Senator Miguel Ángel Llanes Márquez, cast a crucial 86 votes for the reform. Finally, this past Sunday, September 15, President López Obrador signed the decree for the reform's publication in the official Gazette, marking the beginning of a historic change in Mexico's judicial system. In a video shared on social media, the president was accompanied by the newly elected President Claudia Sheinbaum.
Voy a firmar el decreto para la publicación de la reforma a la Constitución con el propósito de mejorar el Poder Judicial, porque necesitamos que la justicia llegue a todos, que no haya corrupción en el Poder Judicial, que los jueces, magistrados, ministros apliquen al pie de la letra el principio de que al margen de la ley nada y por encima de la ley nadie. La Constitución también establece que el titular del Ejecutivo tiene que publicar esta reforma, que es lo que estamos haciendo este día 15 de septiembre del 2024. Voy a firmar. ¿Cómo ves si la levantamos así?
On Monday, September 16, the reform officially came into effect, initiating the extraordinary 2024-2025 election process in which Mexicans will vote for judges, magistrates, and ministers, and unprecedented change in your country's history. Undoubtedly, the judicial reform will be a topic we continue to follow closely in the coming months. But now, let's switch gears and move to Sinaloa, where a series of violent clashes have raised with concern and fear among its residents.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. In recent days, Sinaloa has witnessed a surge in violence that has paralyzed several cities in the state. The conflict between two factions of the Sinaloa cartel, Los Mayos and Los Chapitos, has tragically left at least 9 dead and several people missing. The violence in Sinaloa is closely tied to tensions within the cartel, which escalated after the capture of Ismael El Mayo Zambara and Joaquin Lopez Guzman, son of El Chapo, on July 25th in the United States. According to a statement sent by his lawyer, Ismael El Mayo Zambara claims that he was betrayed and handed over after being summoned to a meeting with Alfredo Beltran Rocha, another cartel leader, and politician Hector Cuen, who was killed the same day. The internal rift within the group has fueled this week's violent escalations. The violence has primarily affected Culiacan, where residents have lived in fear and tension. The clashes, which began last week, have led to roadblocks, burned vehicles, and even shooting in broad daylight. Local authorities report that several businesses and schools have been closed as a precaution. Sinaloa's governor, Rubén Rocha Moya, has announced the suspension of Independence Day celebrations as a preventive measure, a decision largely supported by the public. However, some have criticized that the lack of control by security forces over the situation, of course. At the federal level, President López Obrador has addressed the situation during his morning press conference, which he acknowledged the violence in concerning. He insisted that the state and national security forces are working together to restore peace. However, some experts suggest the governor's security strategy may need adjustments to more effectively combat the cartels. The situation in Sinaloa remains critical. In addition to the economic damage caused by business closures, residents say that fear is starting to affect their daily lives. The state government has deployed more members of the National Guard on the region, but many fear the violence will continue.
We will continue to report on the developments of this crisis. Now, moving on to a much more festival topic taking place in the heart of the country, the celebration of the 240th anniversary of the Grito de Independencia, which was filled with emotion. Let's take a look at the full text.
On September 15, Mexico City was the stage for one of the year's most anticipated events, the Grito de Independencia. This year, the Zócalo was filled with over 190,000 people who gathered to celebrate the most important night for Mexicans. This Grito was particularly significant, as it was the last one led by President López Obrador. From early in the day, families began arriving at the Zócalo with flags, masks of the president, and Mexican hats. Despite the light rain that fell over the capital, thousands of people eagerly awaited the celebration, with signs saying "Goodbye, President." AMLO supporters expressed their gratitude and support, turning the event into an emotional farewell. Before the main event, attendees enjoyed various concerts, including performances by the Mexico Symphony Orchestra, Conjunto Primavera, Alfredito Olivas, and Banda MS, whose music had everyone dancing. At the stroke of 11 p.m., President López Obrador stepped to the balcony from the National Palace, accompanied by his wife, Beatriz Gutiérrez Müller, to deliver the traditional Grito de Independencia. After honoring the heroes who gave us our country, the president concluded his speech with the familiar Viva México, which was echoed by thousands in the plaza.
Mexicanas, mexicanos, ¡viva la independencia! ¡Viva! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva! ¡Viva México!
The fireworks display that followed was one of the most spectacular in recent years, and the celebration continued late into the night with special performances from a Mije Indigenous band and a mariachi music filling the air. It was undoubtedly a night to remember for all these in attendance.
We have reached the end of our broadcast. Today we have covered the judicial reform, the violence in Sinaloa, and the Grito de Independencia, key moments in our country's recent history. We will take you stay informed and join us again in our next broadcast.
Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful night.